Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pimlico Racecourse. Naomi Tucker, Keith Fustel joins me. And Keith, what a wonderful day coming up here. You're dressed appropriately, short sleeves.
Absolutely. That's the way we roll around here. No, it's a gorgeous day. I mean, sunny skies, just a few clouds hanging around, just a breeze. It's very, very pleasant. If you can get out here for some live racing, please do so and join us.
Agreed. Perfect weather to have a cold beverage by the rail. Try and pick your horse, pick your winners. We hope to help you with that. Plenty of betting opportunities coming up, including the Rainbow Pick 6 with quite the carryover. Over $1 million we still have in the pot. We haven't been able to award this prize to a lucky single ticket holder just yet. $1,093,000 gets us going in race number 3. And of course, as it is Friday, we also kick off the Stronach 5 sequence as usual. We have 2 races in the sequence. The Maryland Jockey Club, that's us here at Pimlico. Race 7 is leg A, and then Gulfstream Park has leg B. Then we're back here again for our nightcap in race 8, and then we go to Santa Anita Park, race 2 and race 3 to hopefully finish things off strongly here. And Keith, hopefully you're gonna give us some winners for the day, but let's go to the weather report first. What are the track conditions like?
There you go, fast and firm here in Baltimore today at Old Hilltop. Hi ho, Pimlico. We are ready though. Beautiful temperature, 77, just a light breeze coming out of the south at 5.8. You couldn't ask for better conditions.
I am wondering how the turf track's going to play, because we saw over the last couple of weeks it had a bit more moisture in the ground. Sometimes it was hard for these deep closes to make up ground. We've seen horses close, but I know that there's a couple of runners today that were capable of making up about 10 lengths. Do you think they could sort of try and do that again?
I think so. I mean, the rail has moved out. We're back out, to 20 feet this afternoon. So sometimes that makes it a little tougher on the deeper closers. But all in all, this course, I think the condition that it's going to be in today is going to be a fair playing turf course. You'll see some closes. I think we're going to have some great finishes in some of these races going through the car. We talked about it earlier before the show. 2 or 3 of these races just completely inscrutable, including race 7. I'm glad they picked that one for part of the Stronach 5.
Yeah, race 7. I think race 3 is very deep as well, also going along on the turf. Those turf events are proving to be very, very competitive. Let's get going with this 8-race card. First race of the day, of course, the start of the early pick 5 sequence as usual. 12% industry low takeout starting right here in that first race. And that is the first race of the day on the turf as well. 1 mile and an eighth the distance for, it's a starter optional claimer there. And let's go to the video spotlight first. Your top selection, number 3, Mr. Shades of Grey, is in that. And we just have a look at the fact that he wasn't as fast as some of the others and ends up being quite far back. But perhaps he'll be able to break better today.
Yeah, he came away a little bit slow. Then he gets put in a little bit of a predicament there, about not even a 16th of a mile into the race. Some horses converge from inside outside. He has to check in steady, but this horse just drags, Louis Garcia up to contention, and all of the
Quite
ground
keen there,
loss. Yeah, he's very keen. You see him trying to get him to settle, but I mean, he is just full of run, really taking to the turf course, and Louis is doing everything he can to just conserve energy. But when you're out with this kind of trip, you don't foresee him overcoming that adversity and getting the job done. He's a horse that was always a little bit of a cheater, I think, on the dirt. The move to the turf, I looked at this horse's breeding. I said, you know what, this horse is going to probably pop okay on the grass course. Took to it and watched the last eighth of a mile. I know it wasn't the greatest of fields. Final time was okay. This horse finally puts together, gets correct right there. Switches over to that right lane. Man, he just ran away and hid for the field. Look at this explosiveness to the last 70 yards. He finally figured it out, Naomi. And I tell you, I think he, with a better break, he's going to lay a little bit closer in this field. And talk about Bruno Tessori. I know of late we see that dirt turf 31%, but overall, we're going back 5 years now. He's 9 for 30, 30%, and 14 for 30 in the money. Dirt back to the turf, ROI of 493. Mr. Shades of Grey, he might have to step it up a little bit off of that maiden score 2 races back, because Striking It Lucky comes out maybe a little bit better field. Zhang's a good horse. We're going to see that one later today. But I was impressed with all the adversity of this horse to come back and just air like that last 16th of a mile.
Yeah, just looking at the fact that he showed a lot of raw talent. Still a little bit free there, even at the top of the stretch.
Yeah.
But indeed, that kind of closing ability is what we love on the turf. I ended up going with the number 10, Toe Curling Kiss. Also a closing type. I like the high draw. I think that just gives him the chance to get settled in with without, getting the door shut in his face,
Correct.
basically. Drops from that open company allowance. He went on the turf 2 starts back and stretches out ever so slightly. I think that will help him settle a little bit closer to it. And this is just a horse, to me, has shown that he's much better on the turf than on the dirt. And a bit of a price play in here, 5-1. I think if he can step it up from that open allowance company, he might be very interesting here. I do like Striking It Lucky, who you have in your exacta as well. That his last start was his first start of the season, and he nearly won on the day. And he ended up closing 17 legs. He was kind of the horse that I was hinting at the beginning, saying, is he going to be able to make up ground on this turf course?
I think so. I think another one is going to be able to lay a little bit closer. He got pinched soon after the break. Didn't come away greatly, a little bit of a step slow. And Jock let him come way, way back. And he had to swing out. He saved ground pretty much past the 3/8, but he came extremely wide, 7 or 8 wide top of the stretch. But once he straightened, he finished on well. Jong is a key horse, but he's run against the right kind of, I think, state-bred allowance type. So he certainly fits in here. You're getting Sheldon Russell, and Sheldon can handle the turf course no problem and get a horse to finish. The interesting thing, how do you see the race shaping up on the front end? There's not like any...
I don't see that much speed.
No.
Maybe Be Determined is going to be more forwardly placed. He's shown speed in the past, but not as in wanting the lead. It's more like he might just inherit the lead in here. No, a lot of more closing. Mr. Shades of Grey, perhaps if he breaks better. He's shown speed in the past, like second, late third, but also another horse that doesn't seem to be the type that wants to be on the lead. I mean, he looked a little bit keen, so maybe it's actually allowing him to stride on might just work for him. So I wouldn't be out of the question. What do you think?
Agreed. The way he was just dragging the rider there, if he comes away cleanly, he could just find himself up towards front. Be Determined, a little unlucky last time with the DQ. Would have gotten through the 2 in life condition, but they're going to protect right now and move up. The figure works. Company, a little dicey, but as you say, the flow to this race might work to his advantage. So, good little opener here for us. Striking It Lucky, Mr. Shades of Grey. I'll key around those two. Hopefully, Mr. Shades of Grey will hold at an okay price.
Race number 2 is on the main track, 6 furlong sprinted for the maiden claimers, 16 to 12,500. And of course, that is the start of the early pick 4. And Keith, I looked at your ticket. I know it's a little bit more expensive maybe than usual, but my pick 6 ticket is also a little bit more dear than normal because these are tougher fields, it seems. Also, more opportunities.
Right. Thank God it's Friday and we got paid, right? Let's hope we got paid. And
we did. No.
We did? Okay. All right. We're going to have to hope my man comes out and gets me a few extra bucks. But no, you have to. This card is tricky. There's some races you have to spread. I'll go 2 deep to get you started. I think we can get through this first leg with the chalks, the 5 and the 7. Lad Needs a Handler and Cranston's Network. And then we're going to go here, this third race, just a bit of a maze for me. Horse is very difficult to separate. You've got some speed. You've got some legitimate closing types. I'm going to go 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. U.S. Constitution. I don't have my top 4 on my picks. Going to make the turf debut, but family says could handle the turf. Race 4, a spread again with the 2, 3, 5, and we'll wrap it up 2 deep in race number 5 with the 6 and the 8. Let's get to the pages. Yeah, fool yourself. Oh, I've got line too high. I went back and looked at it again this morning. Just kind of punished myself for that one. I think he's going to be lower than 12, maybe in that 6 to 8 range. Kind of lucky. Brittany Russell horse looks very tough here off of the layoff.
Yeah, this second race, first leg of the early pick 4, I think kind of the main question for me is, I know that you use the 5 as well, Lad Needs a Handler. Is Kranz's Network worth singling?
No. I don't think so. It's just, I think you got to go too deep there. I mean, he ran very well first time out.
Yep.
He ran hard. I mean, I just given enough time, but I just... not a huge edge, I think, over Lad Needs a Handler. Not enough for me to say I'm going to single.
I like it.
Not saying he's not going to win. I've got him picked on top. But
Same.
Yeah. Yep.
Same.
Okay.
Same. Yeah, I thought it was a very impressive debut. Only got beaten by, what was it, a nose that day against Lifespan. I think was that his 15th start or something for Lifespan.
That was the brutal Bob. I mean, the miracle Bob of life.
We all thought Kranz's Network got it. I didn't think Lifespan got it, but he got it. I thought that was a very, very good debut. Was favored in debut, so was well bet down. I think he finds himself a nice spot again here. I also use Lad Needs a Handler in second. Has ran against better on a fair few occasions, but also, that's also the caveat here. He's run 12 times already. This is his 13th start. Does he really want to get his picture taken? He runs well, but never enough to actually get that win.
He's got It's interesting. I'm going to see how the Jock Retzers. I think he's going to go on the attack early, possibly, and try to go and maybe get a jump. He comes out of some races. You see the internals a little bit quicker than what Cranston's Network ran last time. But Cranston's Network's a big horse. He may be able to just sit outside and dog Lad Needs a Handler and get by late.
Yeah, I feel like the main contenders in this field are Cranston Network and Lad Needs a Handler, excuse me. Race number 3, we kick off that terrific Rainbow Pick 6 carryover, over $1,093,866 up for the taking. You want to be involved. Play a ticket, make sure to get it in on time. I created a ticket, and as I hinted at earlier, a little bit more expensive than I tend to go, just because I couldn't find a single. I wasn't as comfortable singling, and this first leg, as you mentioned, I went 5 deep. I started off going 7 deep, and then my wallet didn't allow. So the number, I used the 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. The 5 is my top selection. Bit of a price play there. King Causeway. Combination of factors in his last outing. He got so far back, couldn't make up the ground because they were going really steadily in front, but still ended up making up about 6 lengths. So I like him in that spot at 6-1. But as you can see, I think there's a fair few in there that can jump up over that mile and 16 starter level allowance. So I go 5 deep, and then in race 4 I go a little bit tighter. I had to kind of scrutinize, tone it down ever so slightly. I used the 2 and the 3. The 3 is my top selection in there. Martini Lane, he's going to be very, very fast early. Back down a tick in level, and either you take that last race with a pinch of salt like I do. I think he can do better than that. Race number 5, I used the 2, the 4, and the 6. The 4 is also a bit of a price bid there, but I saw that you highlighted Fire in a Hole in terms of a video spotlight as well. We'll get to her in a second. It's going to be her second try, and she is getting on the turf, which she wanted to do in her first race, but it was rained off. And in race number 6, I used the 5 and the 7. The 7, my top selection in there. Zip the Lip, very fast early for trainer Jerry Robb and Xavier Perez, dropping down a tick as well to that nickel claiming level. And then race 7. Now this is where kind of my wallet came into play. I ended up just using the 2 and the 6 and praying for the best in this mile and 16. I think Gunslinger is super tough in here. JD Costa, second start after over a year and 3 months layoff, and he nearly made it a winning sort of seasonal debut. So I think he can be very tough in that spot. And then the nightcap, I felt like this race could kind of go a fair few ways. The maiden 10, we know these nightcaps can be, can jump up at a price. I used the 5, the 6, and the 8. The 5 is a first-time starter for Linda Albert, who is not working that greatly. So I use him underneath, but don't want to get caught out with a horse that hasn't shown his hand just yet. The 6 is my top selection in that spot. Golden G for trainer Claudio Gonzalez. Second start with the Gonzalez bar. Significant improvement in his first outing for the barn last time. $72 flat. Like I said, bit more dear than usual, but very much worth the investment with that $1 million on the line. Let's get going here with race number 3, and let's start with the video spotlight that we have. Your top selection here, mile and 16 on the turf, starter allowance, and that is the number 11, John G. Now he was 13 that day, and he was basically dead last on the rail, and plenty of traffic that he encountered on the bend. You can just see there that he kind of had to shuffle around and find his way.
And also in this race, Striking It Lucky, who you're going to get a chance to look at if you want to look at that race and use that information for the first race today. But John G, I call him Zhang, whatever you want to call him. I guess it is John G. That's what Rodman calls him. But yeah, had to fight off a little bit of traffic too over stretch, so it really levels off. Big run here to work between horses. Really good run to the last 16th of a mile. The 2 back race is good enough too. That third place finisher came back and ran at Arlington Park with a good one against 3-year-olds. First level allowance ran like an 80 buyer. So I think there's going to be enough flow. There's a couple horses that scratched out of here, right? Some speed. They came out at sizzling time, but some other ones came in so dialed in. They're going to help this pace. The pace is going to be good enough. He's a legit closer on the turf. I don't think he needs everything set up perfectly. Forrest Boyce will get him in position by the top of the stretch.
Yeah, the horse I have on top, the number 5, King Causeway. Similar kind of scenario here. Doesn't need an out-and-out pace, but just a normal pace would do for him. This is going to be a second start after 203 days off for a high percentage barn as well. Second start after layoff, second start with a high percentage barn. And it was just, like I highlighted earlier, a combination of factors last time out. He got too far back. They didn't actually go at all up front. It was very, very slow in the middle sections and still was able to close in 6 lengths. So I think if he just gets back to some of the figures he's shown at Woodbine in a past life for a different trainer, he can be competitive at 6-1. Both of us also like the number 7 in here, Mr. D'Angelo. I'm hoping he is steadily going back up to those sort of 80, mid 80 buyers, but it was a bad start for him last time out. They slammed him all the way back. He was so far out of it. And similar as King Causeway, they didn't go. That was the same race.
Yeah.
They didn't go. So it really set up, I felt, for the speedsters in that spot. It doesn't notate that on the DRF form. Sometimes you see a little S and it says, it sets up for the
speed of the
speedsters.
closer. Yep.
But I still kind of feel like it did because Order for Porky was really close to the pace as well, and he ran second. So perhaps it's going to be different with these closes in here.
I wish I would have put that video in as well out of that race, because I thought Order for Porky in that turf debut. We used that horse that day at 10-1. You looked on the bottom. There was definitely turf potential, and it lived up to its billing there. And he got away with it a little slow, but he went after on the attack early. Into the far turn, and he and the leader just dueled. And they picked up the pace. They went through a rapid third quarter there, and this horse just kept going and going and going to the wire. He got ahead. It looked like he was going to drop back and maybe run third. No, he just dug in and really game to the wire. I think he's the type of horse, he doesn't need to be that close to the pace in his favor. I think he can sit a little bit further back, let a couple of these other speed types go ahead and go. As game as he ran, I think he stays around again today. May do it from a little bit further back, but I think he's a user again. We're right on the same four in here.
Yeah, I liked Order for Porky. I thought that was a terrific turf debut. Also, very clever ride by Carol Cini, because as you said, he isn't the out-and-out horse on the pace, but she realized that the pace wasn't there. I was like, all right, we're going to move forward then and then kick clear like they did, because their last two quarters were significantly faster than the middle sections of the race. So as a jockey, that is the move that you need to make. That's what wins you a race. So I thought that was a terrific ride, as we'll get going with the fourth race of the card, which is Nickel beaten claiming level. Of course, the late pick 5 starts here as well, which is, the 12% industry low takeout that we like to offer here, courtesy of the Maryland Jockey Club and the Strana Group. No carryover here, but a good sequence to get started with. We do have a video spotlight on the horse that both you and I very much like in this spot, which is the number 3 Martini Lane. Now, Blue Sky Painter unfortunately is a scratch. He won't be lining up in here, but the number 3 Martini Lane is in that race as well.
Yeah, it was in this particular afternoon. I guess we were highlighting the early trouble for Blue Sky Painter, and we're going to have to wait for him for another day. He was on the drop, but you see this little move here. Martini Lane had to move up into that pace. It was decent. It was okay. It picked up and made the run between horses and battles pretty well, all the way to past the 8th pole, and just a little bit of a fade late. We're going to see this Greek Prince. Big effort at a pretty good price that afternoon for Georgia Andriadakis. Good to see her get to the winner's circle. But Martini Lane back down to the nickel, finding a field that's, really devoid of any kind of speed. It looks like it should be his race to lose on the front end. What do you think?
I agree with you here. To me, he's projected to be the key leader, perhaps even the lone leader if he can shake them off early and kind of take them all the way. He tends to enjoy that when he's by himself up the front, but just a question if he, gives that all in those latter stages. Yeah. Sometimes in the past he's struggled with that, but we've seen that Pimlico has been playing very fairly, and if you have a good bit of pace, you can keep on carrying it here. So I'm hoping the track might help him out a little bit. Both of us like Shaka style on his inside as well. Had to work to retain the lead at that claiming Nominated a 2 level, but kicked clear very convincingly. Perhaps just a little bit lighter race than some of the others in this spot.
Yeah, but it's finished pretty close. The 3-back try to Martini Lane at Laurel going a mile was pretty good. I see this horse improving. You see the race May 7th, kind of hung out there against everything. Improved. Took the right part of the racetrack last time for the win. You see the internals got away with it very easily up front. I think he's going to have to take a stalking position behind Martini Lane, but I like the improvement that Shaka Style has shown.
I agree. And then both of us have some respect for the number 5 Ghost on a mission. If you go back just 2 starts back try, that was pretty decent there. He ended up dueling on the front and just tired ever so slightly. Now, his last race, perhaps at Pan on that sloppy service, kind of spun his wheels a little bit, it looks like. He just never really involved.
This horse is a little bit of a guess for me. I'd hate to get beat by him. You're looking at him. He was taken. He was claimed off of a negative drop. I hate that. He shows that 1 race, 2 races back that's good enough to win this race. So, I'll forgive the race at Penn on the sloppy sealed surface. He comes back here. I think, he's going to hold a little bit of value against Martini Lane as well. I'm going to use him in my pick 4 and my exactas.
Okay, I guess we see this very similar.
Yeah.
3, 2, 5, 7 for the both of us. As we'll take a quick break and stay with us.
And they're off. Second in the 2-pack.
Welcome back to Pimlico. Naomi Tucker, Keith Fusel, trying to talk you through this card on this beautiful sunny day at this historic venue. We're on race number 5 for fillies and mares. Maiden claim is 40 to 32. Mile and 16 on the grass that you see behind us. And let's start with that video spotlight. My price play, the number 4, Fire in the Hole. She made her debut on a race that was rained off, unfortunately. You can see that it was a muddy surface, and she still had so much to do, but she's big. She's a filly with a sort of a very large stride, really covers the ground well. And I think what caught my eye the most, which I'm assuming caught your eye too, and is the reason that you put this video in here, is the fact that it doesn't look like she's doing anything here, but all of a sudden she starts picking up and has so much more momentum than anyone else. Tries to get through on the rail, the gap closes, and then eventually Farron just has to sit there and wait for the race to be over because there's nothing left to do here.
Yeah, I was sitting there wondering, though. I thought she was just going to take the outside route past the 316s, but the horse a little bit, she got kind of took her in a little bit. You know, first time out might have been a little bit green, and when Farron wanted to go one way, the horse said, let's go the other, and she didn't fight it, and she just stayed there. And unfortunately, the whole closed up, and she couldn't get through. So yeah, and looking at the breeding, we talked about, you've got this horse on top. I'm going to use this horse in exacta boxes, but American Victory, was okay on the turf, 71, 73. I go back to the second dam. Was it a 3-time turf winner? Ran like 107, right? It was a stakes winner, so it's there. You know, Declaration of War on the top side's about 16% on the grass. So you could see, this horse, close into it today on the transition to the turf.
Yeah, and if you look at those two fillies in front, Replicant and Sebastian. Sebastian came back to break her maiden on the second start after that. So not her second career start, but just a start after mile and 16. So that franked her form. It makes her form read quite nicely. So I'm taking her at 6-1, but you don't include her at all.
Well, I mean, this is another race. These turf races, 3, 5, and 7, even the first. I mean, they're that competitive. I go to the 6, Fool Yourself. Well, I told you that the line I think is bad. I made a bad line here. 12 was beaten favorite.
12-1 first of the claim for Claudio.
Yeah, well, shame on me. I guess I'll take the abuse. Nobody ever says, "Hey, good line, Keith." It's always bad line, Keith. So
I think your lines are
that's the way it rolls around here. So that's fine. So Fool Yourself closed in a really fast final quarter for this one, going a mile. Gets the extra ground. Ran fast at 2. I think a little bit more of an improve here for the first time for the barn. Second off of Alea. Fool Yourself with some floated target, but I think the horse to beat's going to be the 8, Kind of Lucky.
And Fool Yourself's form reads nicely as well, because No Down Days, who was second in that race, came back to win on the 6th of June. Maiden 25 level, but by 2 lengths, and a respectable 67 buyer, making her kind of performances stand out even more so. So I use her underneath. I ended up using the number 2 in second, closer to the heart. Class drop in relation to her turf try 2 starts back in one of those very competitive maiden special weights at Belmont Park, sprinting. Top grass trainer in Grey Emotion. So this is, of course, the other Grey Emotion in here. Top turf rider in Fergal Lynch. Wanted to go long on the turf last time out, but that race got taken off the grass, and then she still ran very well, running second. Now I know that buyer doesn't stack up, but her turf number does.
Certainly, it does. It'd be interesting. She to me has a little bit of cheater in her too. Like, she's going to make that move up to it, loom and flatten. Maybe not today, but you talk about Fergal very capable on the grass. But this 8 horse, Kind of Lucky. I went back and looked at that race last time out. What a big effort. Just gets beat. 6 runners came back to run first or second next time out. I'm not worried about the layoff. We see Brittany Russell, first-time trainer, yada, yada, yada. It's all huge. And the 4th place finisher came out of that race to just get beat a couple lengths in a fairground stake. So that company line speaks volumes to me. Key race, key kind of trainer. 6, 8, or 8-6, I'll key top and bottom in my exactas and trifectas today.
Yeah, these turf races have come up incredibly competitively. So well done to the racing office for putting these field together. You're giving us a run for our money, that's for sure. Race number 6, Nickel claiming level, nominated is a 2, lifetime 6 furlong sprinting. I do see an abundance of pace developing in this spot. So I was wondering if I should have gone with a closer, but I ended up actually using one of the pace influences. Zip the lip, but he is drawn towards the outside. And we know that Xavier Perez can take back and say, okay, if I don't get the lead, we're just going to sit behind it. I just think he has options in here and is dropping quite steeply. And plus, reported to be doing well at home. I actually was speaking with some of the Barnes staff this morning because I went to Timonium.
Oh, cool. All right. What'd you get? Did you get lost? No, you
No,
took a little
no,
detour.
no. Yeah, it was definitely a detour. No, got the chance to just see them train out there and
Mm-hmm.
speak with some of the trainers about what it's like to be at Timonium right now. So that's a little package that I'm putting together. But what
Cool.
an atmosphere. It feels like a holiday scene there. And I
Oh.
know it's no Saratoga. It's not that fancy, but I like it.
It's my
nice.
Saratoga. I love it. I grew up at Timonium going there. That place, I love it. I wish we
it's
ran there
beautiful.
100 days out of the year.
It's
No.
I really like it. It's
Yeah.
a wonderful atmosphere, and all the horses seem to settle in great, and the trainers like it. So yeah, I'm gonna make that roundabout trip a bit more frequently. I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a race here when you're looking at the card with the pick six, with your pick fives and everything else. I think everybody, when they're going to look at it, they're going to just try and narrow it down to the 5 and the 7. Maybe it is that easy. I don't think so, though.
You're still chasing 57.
I am.
Chevy.
You know, my brother-in-law had it out the other night at the wedding. He had a 57 Chevy out there at my nephew's wedding. Looked great. Phenomenal job, Scott, with that one. But no, you talked about the speed. I think not telling with that bad stumble last time just put an X through that race. This horse has enough speed to keep the 7 occupied. Maybe the 1 goes ahead in sense. 57 Chevy and El Rojo come out of a race where Distant Thunder was dropping, was a heavy favorite, and was able to just control things up front. I'm thinking we're going to get a little bit of a contested pace today, and one of these two can rally into it.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I just ended up going with a horse that is taking that class relief, and I like the outside draw.
Sure.
Perhaps he can be the one applying pressure. But you're right. He's most likely going to be kept busy from the get-go. Race number 7, claiming 12.5 to 10,000. Mile and 16, of course, the start of the Stronach 5. We have 5 races on offer across the nation. 2 of those legs come here at Pimlico Race Course. One of them at Gulfstream Park, and then 2 at Santa Anita Park, their second and their third race. But this race 7, Keith, this is not an easy one to start with. This is very tricky. I actually put in my selections for the All-Star ticket. I went 3 deep in here, and I wanted to go deeper.
It's all. That's what I've got here. Wide open, the words when I'm doing my notes here. Yeah, I couldn't talk you off of any horse. If you can't afford to do it, hopefully there's some other races in that Stronach 5 for you that you can narrow down to one or two horses, because you're going to need to spread around here. I don't think the favorite, what do I have, a 7-2 favorite? Rohrbacher might take all that play. You look at his back numbers, but he's been off time. You know, I think he was scratched out of a race recently. Might have been off the turf. I can't remember exactly, but
very long time.
You got to go for some prices in here. Look at it. I'm 8-3-4-6. You're 6-2-4-10. We're all over the map, and that's how it should be. I think you are a worry Sky. Do we have a video of his last race? He's just a sneaky price play to me here. He gets to the front, pretty good fractions, 47 and 11 and 2, and maybe the inside post forced his hand to go ahead and go. He's getting pressure from an 80-1 shot, but he's doing it quite easily here at quarter pole. Opens up 3, just can't quite hold on. You're going to see a couple other horses in here make a run, though. Posterity made a big run from the back of the pack at a big price. So I think if he can get that right kind of maybe cover trip, sit 3rd or 4th, and just wait and conserve that energy, I think he's got a move in him, like a 3/8 kind of a move that can take him to get a piece of this race at an okay price.
I thought Unworried Sky at 18-1 ran a terrific race. So I was very taken by his performance there. Have him in 3rd. I used the number 2, Gunslinger. This is going to be second start after a long layoff as well. But his first start after layoff wasn't bad at all. Almost took them coast to coast before letting up slightly there in the final stages. But should have come on for that. One of my notes was look for him in the paddock just to see how fit he is today and how he's looking. I definitely think that helps as well. But you used the number 3, Tappahannock in your exacta.
Yeah, that horse closed in nicely. The fractions were okay. They finished up quite well. Good form reversal there. I did not expect this horse to change styles and close in like that. Gets a little extra ground today, can rally into it. Lucky Ramsey's that all or nothing type. That's why I threw this horse on top. You're getting Charlie Marquez 3rd off of a break, 3rd in that new barn. That was not a great turf trial on May the 14th for him. But I think, Kieran, you're getting a high percentage trainer right now. Don't let this horse slip through the cracks at an okay price. He can rally into it. He's got really good numbers on the back to get it done.
I do second that, because I was looking at your picks and I was looking at Lucky Ramsey and I'm like, if this horse comes back to some of the form that he's shown with some other trainers when he was with Claudio Gonzalez, now with, a very strong, from one good barn to another. Claudio Gonzalez then was with Tally Lynch and then Kieran McGee. he can bring him back to that form.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he can do the right things, make the right moves to try and get him back. Of course, Charlie Marquez, riding the lights out now as a journeyman, has been winning, continuing to win, and dominate the standings here. So certainly a plus getting him aboard as well.
We're not going to get that price, though. With a couple scratches in here,
Yeah.
we're just not going to get that price.
Don't worry, we will cut you that
Cut me a little
slack
break.
there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Final race on the card, maiden claiming 10,000 to 8,000, 5.5 furlong dash here. And we see that we use the same horses, but we go slightly different in here. You use the first time starter on top, Pets Night for Linda Albert. Now, I must admit, that 105 and 3, now I know it's on a muddy Timonium track, and it was still the fastest work, only from 3, but that to me is kind of pretty steady, even for this level. So I'm trying to go against this 3-year-old, but have got him included on my Rainbow Fix 6, though, because he hasn't shown his hand yet.
I'm just taking a shot here. Golden G clearly going to be the horse to beat. Going to be a very short price. Second time Claudia, a little excuse last time. Will be forward. Might go right to the front against this group. Going to have to deal with Pepe and Haywood, I believe. Pepe and Haywood ran okay. Was against the bias on May the 30th. Improved effort, but was that just a kind of a slop aberration? We don't know. The 5-horse, though, bred to do well early. All 3 siblings hit the board first time out, including a debut winner. A couple of horses ran fast. Budapest Night. There's another one, Moon Watcher. Both are winners. And Linda Albert going on the go back, way back over the last 6, 7, 8 years. She's got a good ROI with these first-time starters. The 3-year-old first, it's like $5 or $6. So I'll take a little flyer here with the 5.
No, I completely respect that. In maiden 10 field, normally I'm all over the first-time starters, but this horse I was just a little bit skeptical about. The times on the word tab. It's something you just like to, you just like to see a touch faster. Perhaps they kept him at that speed at home, and they just didn't want to do too much. But that 37 and 1 on the 6th of April at least, has a bit of zip in it that we like to see. But I do use Golden G here because it was his second. This is going to be his second start with the Gonzalez stable. His first try for the barn. Significant improvement from his last couple of efforts. Can he continue on the upward curve?
He should. You can give him one more shot, but I do think the 9's going to run a little better. And the 8, interesting limit. They took the horse up there for a first state bred race at Charlestown, May the 15th. You see the comment there, 3 and 4 wide turns, broke from the 9 post. That's not easy to do, going 6.5. This horse should improve second out.
Well, that will do it for the handicapping part of this show. Let's continue with the lightning round. Let's update you on the current jockey and trainer standings, but let's start with the jockey standings first. Charlie Marquez, now a journeyman, but has continued to find the winner's circle.
Yeah, not missing a beat, right? He's
Not
got a
at
new
all.
agent. Was it Tom Stiff? Is the new agent for him? As I guess he was with.
No,
Now-
he wasn't. No, I remember who he was with two back before he went to New York. So I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure I have the accurate information on that.
That's how I'm drawing a blank. Marty Leonard. Yeah, sorry, Marty, because Marty's got Sheldon, right? And
He was a name I had in my head, but I didn't want to be wrong.
That's all right.
No, look, he's doing phenomenal,
Yes.
and as a jockey, he's continued to grow, and that is, very much respected out here. And JD Acosta
Yes.
continues to fire out these winners as well. We know he can be very aggressive with them, but still, even if he's riding a closer, he's very, very tenacious in his drive. You can kind of see his style really lifts up a horse, holds them together. That takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, one thing with JD, he is a little bit more aggressive maybe earlier in this route races. He tries to take the initiative. A lot of times you'll see leaving a 5/8 into that far turn. He rode a lot of Charleston, and that's where that move was. So, I think it's still ingrained a little bit in the positioning of the racetrack. And he's got that strength, though, that can just carry horses to the wire. Toledo, solid. Sedano, we'll see a lot up at Delaware, I'm sure, and Sheldon right there. But Charlie Marquez, he has not missed a beat whatsoever. Losing that bug hasn't hampered him at all.
And then for the trainers, Claudio Gonzalez is still at the top of the head of affairs here. We don't expect anything less. He puts them in the right positions. He puts them in aggressively, and he has the numbers to boot. And clearly, off the claim, he's very strong as well. He does put the work in them in the mornings.
Yeah, and you've got trainers, everyone on that list. If you're somebody that's kind of on the sidelines, maybe, man, I really want to kind of get into a racehorse or buy a horse or claim a horse. There's your list right there. I mean, you got other guys capable, Damon Dill, DeVico, Mary Epler, you name it. I don't want to leave anybody out. That's the other thing. I mean, this game's great. We want to get new owners into the game. Come out to the races, meet up with one of these guys, and maybe they can kind of hook you up with a good racehorse.
Look, take the top 10 and take your pick here of the
got it.
trainers. They
Yeah.
are all very, very
Yep.
strong and know what to do with the horse to get them back peaking. Now, of course, the schedule, we had an announcement here, a bit of a schedule change. We will be staying at Pimlico through to August the 22nd. I do believe the start of the Timonium meeting, and hopefully afterwards we'll be back at Laurel Park.
Yeah, listen.
That's the plan, right?
That's the plan. We're here, and we're going to make it work. So, yeah, just got to get everything straight over at Laurel Park. But I'm glad to hear it's a little closer. I know it's a tough little commute for you.
It's closer for me, yes. But
just
this is such a historic venue. It's wonderful being here. It really is.
keep giving us days like this. Perfect. Yep.
Agreed. Now let's have a look back at some of the stakes action from last Sunday. Some terrific performances, including Chubb Wagon staying undefeated, but look at Hello Beautiful right there up front, laying it down. Hello Beautiful ran too good to lose, really, but Chubb Wagon, very, very talented.
Off of that break, and we talked about into the turn that Sheldon might try to put Chubb Wagon in a little bit of precarious situation. Had to kind of rate back steady off of that one. Was able to get outside and wear Hello Beautiful down. Two really, really good fillies. I mean, greatest stakes type in my opinion.
Agreed.
No doubt.
Yeah, I thought the Shine Again Stakes was an absolute highlight of the day. I kind of predicted it was going to be a good race, but we got treated to a phenomenal stretch battle between two very, very talented fillies. Very much looking forward to seeing Chubb Wagon, hopefully in graded stakes company, and Hello Beautiful, no doubt, back in the winner's circle in over the next few months and starts. And the last race on the card was the Stormy Blues, and Street Loot did not have a good start. She jumped up in the air. You can see she kind of went up there just so slightly, and she was last away of all. And now over the distance that they were going at, that 5 furlong sprinting, normally you'd write them off, right? You say, right, that's it, we're done.
Yeah, because you're going to have to use yourself to get position. Look, she's 3-4 wide at this point, but she's all heart. And X-Man, just works beautifully with her and was able to kind of grind it out and get up. You see the determination, right? You know it's over. Yeah, you see the leader, but you're looking at her compared to the other two. It's like, I'm getting this done. Street Loot does get it done. A little fist pump here, I believe, at the end.
I think Xavier was very, very excited.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an incredible performance after the trouble that she had to overcome. And, the spirits were high in the paddock. The Robs, Jessica, Xavier, everyone, Joey, the owner.
Yep.
This meant something because this showed how tough of a filly she is. I must admit, I love her, so I thought this was incredible. And she would have been forgiven if she didn't find the winner's circle on the day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the tough part. I mean, and that's the starter, the assist starts dealing with horses. And she was just acting up just a little bit, in just one little split second. That's how difficult that job is. So you think going out and working on that gate crew and being the starter something easy, you got another thing coming. I mean, and you're dealing with these horses, everything that's involved, all the purse money. That is tough. But Street Loot was able to overcome that, a little bit of adversity there that day. And, talk about the whole team again, Gina and Jerry, doing it from the ground up, too, from the breeding operations and stuff. You got to like that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't underestimate the skill involved for the starter team. I mean, this is very tricky. A lot of horsemanship gets into a lot of preparation as well, knowing all these horses and how they prefer to be handled. And that concludes the morning show for us here. Naomi Tucker, Keith Fusel, wishing you the best of luck. And Dave Rotman will be up next with all scratches and changes.
Good luck.